morning, San Diego. It is Thursday, August the 5th. Oh my goodness, brain freeze here. 2021, and I am on vacation, and I've got a super special ride today. I am getting electrified. So I am testing out the new electronic MSUB today, and I want to see how far I can go. Well, I mean, I'm not going to go as far as I can go, but I need to see how far I can go, how high I can go, and see what the battery life is like, see what the ride is like, see that I can stand on it for a couple of hours, all that good stuff, because how fun would that be? So let's go. Oh, the first hill. I mean, the first part of this ride is all hills, kind of a nice gradient, but there were some bicyclists, two of them, several hundred yards in front of me. Now on the MSUB or the long stride, there's no way that I'm even coming close. By the end of the first hill, which was about a quarter of a mile, I was kind of just behind them. We had a little downhill and then a nice little short climb. Passed them up. Hey, you're missing a seat. Yeah, and I'm missing you too. Bye-bye. So that was awesome. A little out of breath. I'm feeling it in the legs. So everything is a-okay so far. So we're about 2+ miles in, and let's keep going. I want to record what I'm doing, how I feel. So I'm 3.5 miles in, 400+ feet of climbing. It's not steep, it's, I don't know, probably 4%. And my hip is feeling it a bit, my quads are feeling it a bit. I am in gear 1. Well, I'm actually on the bike, I'm in gear 7 or 8, but I'm in power level 1 to start with. I want to save the battery. I want a little bit of a workout, but I definitely want it to help me on these hills. So 3.5 miles, 400+ feet, that's 100+ feet per mile. That's pretty good climbing. So I'm sweating. It's 71 degrees. There's no sun. It's just starting to peak out, and so I'm already getting a workout. So that's good. If you want to work out, then I'm definitely getting it, but I don't want to overpower it and just have it do it for me. I'll save that for later and see how that runs. So that's the parameters that I'm currently working with. We'll see how that goes. We are in Rancho Santa Fe. So we made it to the first destination. Checking my bearings, make sure I don't get too far lost. So 5.5 miles, 520 feet of climbing. Feeling good, feeling wet. Feeling like I'm getting a little bit of a workout. I did have to kick it into power level 2 at one point. It got a little steep, and I'm trying to reserve energy and just not go too fast, just enjoy the ride, but go at a nice, decent pace. So far so good. Let's keep it rolling. Next check-in point. So I had thought that I wanted to go a certain way, and I let Ride with GPS route from Santa Fe to the coast, and it put me through this neighborhood. So I've just made the turn. Why? Safety. It's not flat. So it's now time to kind of go up this hill here, and I'm gonna wind through like 2 miles of neighborhoods. I don't think it's a bike route. Oh, well, there is a bike lane, so I guess maybe that's why it did it. So I'm almost 9 miles in, almost 900 feet of climbing. My longest ride was on dirt, and it was 11 miles and 1,300 feet, just short of 1,300 feet. So I am approaching my longest ride. I am sweating. I'm feeling it in the quads. I've been able to stay in power level 1. And the meter still reads 100%. Now, whether that's accurate or not is debatable, but you know, I've got it set for low power to conserve it and, you know, use it when I need it. And we'll see how far we get before it starts degrading and stuff. So far so good. I'm getting a workout. I'm climbing the hills at about a 10.5 mile per hour pace, which is good. If I kick it into level 2 or power level 2, then I think it goes to about 15. And I thought that power level 1 was set for 5 miles an hour, but it seems to be set for like 10 or 11 miles per hour, which is pretty okay. It's really nice to get off the line at lights, because you know, you're sitting there and you just have to be careful not to pedal too fast before you get your feet in these toe clips, which I don't have on my MSUB. I use different stuff. So sun is trying to break through. It's, you know, probably 72, 73 degrees, but now I'm heading back to the coast. So yeah, let's go do some more hills. And it was a nice break here before I get going on the hill. So yeah, I want to make a notation. So I just got done with this little climb, and I don't know, it's probably about 1/8 of a mile. Oh, I got sweat dripping in my ears, sorry. It's probably about 1/8 of a mile, but it was pretty steep, and so I was in power level 1, and I noticed that I looked down and I was only doing 8 miles an hour. So just because you're in power level 1 doesn't guarantee that it's going to keep you at 10 miles an hour. It gives you, I don't know, the power. It said 485 watts, which is pretty much maximum for the engine as far as I know. So it was giving me maximum for power level 1, but it wasn't 10 miles an hour. But if I tried to do that on my own, I'm definitely not doing 8 miles an hour coming up that hill. So yeah, that was good. And there's another thing, but I can't remember what it is. I'll remember on the next video. It didn't take me but like 3 strokes to go, oh, I know what the other thing was. Even though I've got power assisted, I am not riding in 10th gear on here all the time. So as I go up a hill, I might shift into 9th or into 8th gear to ease the pedaling. So I'm going the same speed, but I don't have to, I don't know, it's hard to explain, I suppose. So, I mean, it's powering you. So you want enough resistance that, you know, you're able to keep up a good cadence. But if you're in too low of a gear, too high of a gear, you're going to push harder than you need to. So I am using the gears. So it's not just keep it in 10th gear and everything is good, everything will take care of itself. Now that's going to be true on the flats, but not on the hills. That's what I wanted to say. That was super nice. So I made the corner just after that last break, and there's an incline. It was probably 6-7%, I'm guessing. So I put it in the 9th gear and put it on power level 2. Piece of cake. I mean, I felt it a little bit in my leg, but I wasn't a passenger, but I wasn't pushing strong and just made it to the top right here. That's why I'm looking for some power, is to get over a hurdle like that easily. So I have definitely crossed 1,000 feet of climbing now, and I am just over 10 miles. So I'm at the top end of where I've been so far on this bike. So let's just keep going. We're heading to the ocean. Well, that's it, folks. 12.5 miles, 1,100 feet of climbing. I mean, 1,100 plus. So we've surpassed the mileage and we're within 100 feet. We're back on the coast, Cardiff Kook. So now we're heading down to Torrey Pines to go hit that. Battery is still reading 100%. So is that true? I don't know. I'm gonna hate it if in Torrey Pines it cuts out and I got no battery. Yeah, so I guess we've got about 8 miles to get to Torrey Pines, 7 miles, something like that. So a little uphill to get there. So let's keep going. It is break time. I am in Del Mar proper, and I've gone 17 miles and 1,300 feet. So I'm now on my official longest ride on the MSUB and highest ride on the MSUB. And I'm 2 hours into the ride, but I've stopped to do this and stuff. So my average speed is 8.8 miles. So it's not fast. And once I got to the coast, it flattened out. And what I saw was kind of what I suspected. Since I'm in power level 1, it's all me. So you can see how much on the meter the engine is taking over, the battery, and it's 0. So I'm doing 13 miles an hour, which sounds perfectly right for me. pedal, ooh, and it's all me. So I am sweating, and I'm using my headbands at the same rate I would on the long stride. My legs are feeling just about what they did. So yeah, I am in total battery conservation mode. It still says 100%, and yeah, this, if I knew I was only doing 20 miles, I'd probably kick it up a notch or two on the battery. And once we get out of Torrey Pines, then I will do such and see how that part of the ride is. But I have to conquer the mountain on this, and the mountain will undoubtedly, I'll probably put it in 2, 3, 4, whatever it turns out to be on there. And it's a 1.5 miles long. I'll stop and I'll record it just before I get there. And so yeah, the sun is just, again, it's just been warmish, probably humid a little bit, but no sun. So I am absolutely getting a workout. There's no doubt about that, and that's because I'm sitting at power level 1. My back is, I can feel my back a bit, so that's not the greatest thing in the world, but I do need to finish this out one way or the other, and we'll see what happens at the end. So finish my break. We're, I don't know, a couple miles away from the climb, and let's keep going. Well, here we are in the shadow of the beast. So it's a 1.5 mile climb, but it's only 400 feet and change. So it's pretty reasonable. It's just intimidating, the pure length of it. But we're sitting, obviously, as you can see, right up against the Pacific Ocean here. And I'm almost 20 miles in, well, actually 19.25. 1,400 feet exactly. Now 1,400 feet is my personal limit, as in I can do 1,400 feet on the long stride without much incident, but after that I really start to tire quickly. And I have only done 11 rides at 2,000 feet, 2 at 3,000 feet. So I do not exceed 2,000 hardly ever. And right in that 1,400 to 1,600 range, that's really about it. So I'm going to exceed that just on this climb, and then I'm going to have to climb back. So it's going to be a whole different experience than the first time I've climbed it. So this is just climb number 2. So let's get to it, see how it is. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Torrey Pines Golf Course, home of the US Open just a couple of weeks ago. Twice hosted the US Open, the last time about 15 years ago, and that climb was delicious. I mean, it was a little bit of work. I put it in power gear 2, but you just had to keep pedaling, and if you just kept pedaling, then away you went at for me, a 12.5 mile an hour clip. Now I'm 230 pounds, so I'm carrying more weight. So if you had less weight than me, you're going to go even faster. Now, one interesting thing that I did finally notice is at the bottom of the hill, I was at 100%, and as I got near the top, it dropped down to 80%. And so I thought, okay, it drops in 20% increments. I've seen devices do that. That makes sense. When I got to the top of the hill, though, it said 64%. I was like, oh, okay. But then, being that I was at the top of the hill, I wasn't using the battery, and then the battery regenerated, and now that I stop, it's back at 80%. So I'm somewhere. So under load, it's going to drop its number in there. So the meter is now functioning. I have dropped below 100%. And now I'm going to head back into Del Mar, and there is a nice climb, a nice steady climb in there. And I'm going to kick up the battery a little more to see how it feels. I'm 22 miles in, 1,800 feet. And now we'll start to use the battery because I'm just, 8 miles away from where I started. So I got one more major hill to do. And I say major, I mean, it's an extended climb. And then the rest is just up to me as to how far I go. So yeah, I have discovered an awful lot of things. This was a perfect route for what I wanted to do. And so enjoy the splendor of Torrey Pines Golf Course. I guess I need to add one more addendum, because in the time it took me to record that last little segment and show you the course, put the camera back in the bag and get ready to go, I look down at the battery and it says 94%. So under load, it is going to decrease. So I mean, it went down 30% under load by the top of the hill, but now it's showing whatever. Now what's the true number? I don't really know, but I suppose if your battery is getting kind of low and you've got a big climb coming out, you may either have to take it in segments, or you may find yourself out of battery because it can't produce the load. So I don't know which it is, but apparently I got a lot of battery left. So yeah, let's see how it fares. Words almost don't explain it, don't do it justice. That was phenomenal. So I'm about three and a quarter hours in, 30 miles, 2,400 feet of climbing. I mean, I've only exceeded 2,400 feet maybe 3 or 4 times on the long stride, and I've still got gas in the tank. Now, when I got to Torrey Pines and came down the hill, I said, okay, no more messing around, no more power 1, and so I kicked it up to power 2 and 3 and ultimately 4, and that helped out a whole lot at the end of this ride. And I've got currently 54% left. It went down to 40 under load just now, so you know, I'm still going. So if you can ride at power level 1 or maybe 2, you know, and do the work yourself, then you're going to be able to do, I mean, 2,400 feet is nothing to shake a stick at. Now, it's not 4,000 feet, which is kind of some of the cooler rides where you really get off there, although maybe you're not doing as much mileage. So, you know, take it for what it's worth, do the math. I had really good battery use for the first 20 plus miles, and what, 1,400 feet. You know, it was like I hardly used any in there. So it was all in the last 8 miles where I put on 1,000 feet. 1,000 feet and in about 7 miles in there, and I kicked up the power. So you use power, you're gonna lose the battery. So yeah, that was really good. I am really stoked. So and then I saw a bus come by just at the end of the ride with a couple bikes on it, and I went, oh, I had tried to put the long stride on a bus. It doesn't work. You can put an MSUB on the bus, which means you could have a one-way trip somewhere, which was a concern of mine when I didn't have a bike rack. But even still, put it on the bus, go someplace, and then ride back. And so it's kind of like you get to ride out further without using your gas. So that's another option for this. So yeah, just exactly what I needed to give it a run for its money and see what it offered. So real stoked. So until next time.